Happy Samhain in Fergus High. That is what you would say hundreds of years ago, but Halloween is what we know it as today. So today you will find out about the history of Halloween around the world, around Lewistown, and what we do to celebrate right here at Fergus High. First off, here's Mrs. Armstead to uncover the origins of Halloween.
Well, I know that there are a couple different things about the origin of Halloween. Halloween probably originated with Celtic Festival of Samhain, which was a festival in the fall. Had to do with the harvest, and it also had to do with the time when the Celts, the Irish, and the Scots believed that there was a day or a time when there was a kind of a lessening of the barrier between our world and the spirit world. And so they would go around sometimes from door to door and get food, and so that may have been kind of a beginning of trick-or-treating. There was also a Christian element to it too. It was called All Saints' Day, or All Hallows' Day, All Hallows' Eve, and that began in about the 800s, I think, 600s to 800s. So that's the Hallows part. So a lot of times the Catholic Church sort of melded with pagan traditions, and that was that part that again, I think it started in the 600s, and then it was sort of redone under, I think it was Pope Gregory in the 800s, that the All Saints' Day or All Hallows' Eve came to be called in October, November, and because there was already the pagan festival of Samhain, they sort of melded that together. And again, there was a thing with, I think it was called a soul cake or something like that. They had food that was part of the tradition, and so they would sometimes go from door to door and get these cakes or food. And so some people think that trick-or-treating tradition had to do with going from door to door and getting food. As well, in the Irish tradition with Samhain, some people would wear costumes with the Samhain traditions. But trick-or-treating came to America, or the Halloween came to America with the Puritans. It kind of went away in Britain with Protestantism and all of that, but it sort of transitioned into America. So, and then because of the harvest, the pumpkins, they used turnips in Britain, but we had pumpkins in America, and so the whole carving the jack-o'-lantern and all that had to do with the harvest, and because they had pumpkins.
The Day of the Dead is most commonly celebrated in Mexico. This holiday is considered to be the Mexican Halloween, but it actually celebrates a whole different idea. Jamie and Senor Paco are here to help you understand a little more about the Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead is a Mexican celebration that is pre-Columbian, which means before the Europeans came over, before Columbus came over to the Americas, the native Mexican people, all the different tribes of the natives, would celebrate their dead in the fall. And they continued on, they just rearranged it to kind of coincide with Halloween. They take November 1st and 2nd. They don't celebrate the death of their loved ones, but they rather celebrate the life of the people who have passed away. So they look at it not as something scary or morbid like our Halloween. Rather, it's a fun day, and it's a happy day, and it's a reunion day. They have dances, they have music in the cemeteries. They go in the cemeteries and decorate them all up, sweep them clean, wash the gravestones, put flowers everywhere, bring offerings in the form of food or drinks or whatever the deceased person loved to do when they were alive. Actually, the November 1st part of it is for the children who have died, and then November 2nd is for all the adults who have passed away. And they call it Day of the Dead. They bake special foods, a special bread called Bread of the Dead. Special flowers, marigolds are real big, orange marigolds, and incense and music, and just a good time for all.
Our journalism students ask juniors and seniors about their Halloween shenanigans. Here's Erica with more trick-or-treating high schoolers.
So Cassie, do you plan on going trick-or-treating this year?
No.
No, I do not.
Kinda. Not a whole bunch.
Andy, do you plan on going trick-or-treating this year?
No.
No.
Not this year.
Yeah.
So Hooper, do you plan on trick-or-treating this year?
Nope.
What do you plan on doing instead?
Going and staring little kids.
Chilling at home, I guess.
Watching movies with friends.
I don't know.
I'm guessing I'm staying at home or probably working.
What do you plan on doing instead?
Scaring little kids.
I plan to be the treat giver.
What's best costume you've seen?
I have to say a Scarecrow murderer.
I haven't seen a good one yet.
Chicken costume.
Probably a giant M&M.
I think when the two animals, there's like an animal and like two people are the one, it's like one's the legs and one's the front and the face. I think it's pretty cool.
Slenderman.
And what's the best costume you've seen?
Hudson's.
When you see a little kid, what's the first thing you think of doing?
Scaring them.
Running up to them and scaring them so they drop their candy.
I hope they don't get kidnapped. What's the first thing you think of doing when you see little kids on
Going
the
to
street?
scare them.
Trying to take their candy because it's all free.
Look at their costumes, not scaring them.
If there is one house in Lewistown that is the best for trick-or-treating, it would be Dale Fisk's house on 7th Avenue. Here's Bryson with more about the creepiest house in town.
Have you ever been to the haunted house on 7th Street?
Yes.
And you think it's pretty scary?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Have you ever been to the house on 7th Street?
Yes, I have.
Is it pretty scary?
It's very scary.
What's the scariest part?
When the guy jumps out at you.
All right, thank you.
What is the most memorable house that you've ever trick-or-treated at?
It was a yellow one over by Highland Park. It's always got all the weird, creepy stuff in their yard.
And why was it most memorable?
Because the guy, they had a coffin there and he just sort of jumped out at me.
Okay, thank you.
I've been here at this house for 20 years. So we've been doing it here for 20. All the wooden decorations that are out in the yard are all handmade. I've just got a box full of different characters. You know, like last year we changed in and out of our masks and stuff several times just so the kids not used to it, you know, because they'll, oh, Joey, you got to watch out for such and such or so and so, you know. And in the past years, so, you know, last year we were changing costumes out and the looks on the kids' faces was kind of priceless because they'd be running down the sidewalk looking for, you know, the chainsaw guy and he wasn't around. You know, we dressed up in something else. So that's probably what we'll do this year again. If you can get the parent, then the kid's kind of satisfied that, hey, mom and dad got scared too, you know. So the last couple of years we've been kind of watching those people and then we try to sneak around and get the parent if we can, and that's been pretty fun.
What is the most memorable house that you've ever trick-or-treated at when you were a kid?
The most memorable house, when I was really little in my neighborhood, there was this house that was just known for, the guy that lived there would dress up and hide and like jump out and scare kids. And it was terrifying. And when I was little, I remember being traumatized and I never wanted to go out because specifically this house was so terrifying for me.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The most memorable house that I've ever trick-or-treated at, well, when I lived in Georgia, the general that was ran the military base, every kid that came there, he would give like a regular size candy bar and $20 too, which was really awesome. So we always loved going by his house.
That's awesome, thanks.
Yep.
What is the most memorable house that you've ever trick-or-treated at when you were a kid?
I wouldn't say it was a house, but my most memorable experience during Halloween was a little trick we pulled. I was a senior in high school, and back then I had a four-wheel drive or a four-speed pickup, an old Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, some buddies of mine said on a Halloween night we're going to scare some girls that night. So what we did is I took my buddies and I dropped them off at this old cemetery in town, and they went and hid behind some tombstones.
Mm-hmm.
And then I drove uptown, and there were some freshman girls walking on Main Street. And they're sort of like, hey, can we give us a ride? Stuff like that. And I said, sure. So they got in, and I gave them a ride. And I said, you know, it's Halloween. Why don't we go check out the cemetery just for scares?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I don't know. So they were sort of scared first off. So anyway, I drove my Ford up into the cemetery. And I made it so my pickup would die going up a hill.
Yeah.
And so it died on this pickup, and I says, oh, I'm out of gas. I said, I'll have to walk and get some gas downtown. And they're sort of like, you guys just stay here.
Yeah.
And I'll get the gas. So they went and they stayed in the pickup, and I left. And then my buddies, they were really quiet and stuff like that. And then they snuck up on them in the night. And then they got right up next to the truck and went, ah, like that. And the girls just screamed and took off running. But one girl got so scared, she wet herself, and I had to clean it up in the seat.
That's not very nice.
No, it wasn't, but it was funny.
That is funny.
So that was the best experience I had.
Halloween is a time for fear and for fun. Samhain's tidings, Fergus, and remember, never be afraid of what you can't see.